Hello and welcome to PS4 Fun and a quick video to introduce you to some elements of the HUD in Elite Dangerous. Unfortunately, the tutorials miss some of these important ones out, and they really do. Knowledge of these just little basic things make your life so much easier. They are not very good tutorials, unfortunately, and I must say other YouTube videos have helped me out in understanding this game, so I thought I would do so too. So just a few important bits. So firstly, in the front there, at the bottom in the center is your radar. It's that big kind of oval, orange oval with an orange triangle pointing forwards in the middle. And you can see various things on that, that radar. What I've got on the radar, because I don't have any ships anywhere near me, is a load of planets and a sun. There they are. And what that is saying is, if they are, or if they have little lines sticking at the top of them, that means they're below me. So I have to point myself down, as you can see, to find them. If the tails are pointing downwards, they're above me, so I have to go up to find them. It's a great way of sourcing where things are in terms of like ships, etc. if you're in combat. Also, the further away from the little star or the little triangle in the middle they are, the further away they are from you. So if they're actually in that concentric circle, once you've lined them up, if they're in that front circle, they're right in front of you. And you can see the two kind of the triangle coming out from the little triangle in the middle. That's your field of view. So that should mean that anything in that field of view you can see. Whereas we've got that little planet that's just below the 33. That's not in my field of view. If I move round, there we go. Now it is. So that is the radar first and foremost. The next thing is the compass. Now currently there is no compass. I haven't clicked on anything. I haven't got anything targeted. And what I've got on the left hand side, there is a little solar system. You can see a little blue sun with little three little blue planets whizzing around it. That means I'm just in the system, haven't targeted anything. If I do target something, such as that, there we go, LFT 14255. Now that has turned into a planet. There is a blue planet there, which means I am targeting a planet. It will look like a space station. If I targeted a space station, it'll look like whatever it is that I've targeted. And the important thing is just to the left-hand side of the 27% there is a little circle with a white dot in the middle. And that is where your targeted object is in relationship to you. This one is right in front of me. And I know that because it's in the middle of the compass and it is solid circle. If I turn around, I now know it's above me. And if I turn around some more, the circles turn hollow, which means it's behind me. So currently I'm flying directly away from what I've targeted in completely the opposite direction. So it means that that little thing will tell us exactly where I need to point my ship to be able to get to where I want to go. So if you bring that round, solid circle in the middle, heading straight towards LF1425, right on top of it. I'm going to whiz straight past it in a minute. There we go. So that's what that means. Nice and simple, nice and easy. Right. So the next thing that I'm going to talk about very quickly is the two side panels, which will give you various bits of information. If you press the bottom left of the touchpad, it'll bring up this one here. This will give you navigation. So this little bar here are all the things that are currently in your system. So you can target them and head towards them. You'll learn what all the icons are. This one, for instance, Rebuy Market, that is a space station. So if I click on that, I want to go there. Lock destination. When I go back to my HUD, we can now see that I've got a space station in my little blue space station there, and if I line my compass, there is Rebuy Market, which is 700 light seconds away. I'll approach that in a minute and show you something else. I'm going to slow down. Awesome. If I go back to that side panel, so bottom left on the touchpad, we've also got Galaxy Map, which gives you the galaxy. So if you want to go somewhere, this is, I mean, seriously, there are 4 billion systems here. If I want to go to Alari, sector GM5B21, that little triangle is select. I've selected it. It'll then let me plot route. So if I hit plot route, it'll tell me, here we go, I can reach it. And it'll remember that, so when I come out, it will tell me to go to that place first. I mean, I'll show you. If I come out, it's now going to say, there will be, if I come down here, see, getting my little white circle lined up. There we go. That is my first hyperspace jump. I'll go to that one, then it'll point me to the next one, next one, next one. So I plotted a route which it will remember. Another thing to have a look at with the galaxy map as well is, and I'm going to have to go a long way away for this because I've got quite a lot of fuel in my ship. Right. Even further. God, I can go all the way over here. Right, select plot route. There we go. That's great. So this solid line, basically, this is how far my hyperspace fuel will take me without refueling. So I can get to this one here without having to refuel. The dotted line, it means that I don't have enough fuel to get there, so I'm going to have to refuel before that. So I might go to this system here, Gendery, and refuel there, which will allow me to get to the final jump over here. So it will indicate, and also if you don't have enough fuel to get where you need to go, it will say that your route is not plannable. So if I go to here, calculate route, it wouldn't say clear route, it would say route unavailable, which means that there is a jump distance between galaxies that your current engine can't make. So you can't actually go there until you upgrade your engines. So that's just a little look at the galaxy map. Then we're also going to have a look at the system map. System map shows you the system you're in. The galaxy is the entirety of the Milky Way, 4 billion different systems. This is one of those systems. And in that system, there is an asteroid belt where you can do some mining. There is a planet with a space station. That is Herase Market, which you targeted earlier on. And these are all the planets. Now, if you have the Horizon expansion, you bought the Horizon version of it, you can land on certain planets. You know the planets you can land on because they will have a blue circle around them. None of these planets have a blue circle on them, so we can't land on them. But that's the system, so if I wanted to visit that planet, I would click on it. There you go. Select it. And when I come out, we can see, oh, look at my little radar, get the full white circle in the middle, and that's the planet I've just targeted. So I can target anything in system and it will lead me to it. And also if I've got a hyperspace jump somewhere, it will point me in the right direction of my hyperspace jump. Now that is, oh, that's the conflict zone, so that's why it's come up here. This is where you might, if you have a very underpowered ship and you're a little bit of a noob, do not go to conflict zones. You will be owned. I went there and managed to kill one ship and then got completely blown to pieces as soon as they realised I was in the mix. Don't go there until you've got a very well tooled up combat ship. Going back to the bottom left of the touchpad, show you others. Transactions have got nothing in there, but if you've accepted any contracts to deliver equipment or take on assassination missions or anything like that, they'll be listed there and you can click on them and it'll show you where in the galaxy map there are so you can plot your route. Contacts, at the moment these are all the contacts I've got in the area, so I can check them out. So if I want to check out that cruise ship, if I select it, it will pop it onto my map, and again I can scroll down and the cruise ship, which is the passenger liner, is just in front of me. So I've got to be a little bit careful about targeting particular vehicles. There it is, so cruise ship right below me, because they might get upset and shoot you. I'm going to come off that. Cruise ships carry passengers. If you can afford it, you can buy a cruise ship and then just ferry passengers everywhere. So that is the principal and most important elements of this. Galactic powers will tell you who's got control. There are various factions fighting for control of the area that you don't necessarily need to worry about that to begin with. And the other one I'm going to show you on the left-hand side, sorry, on the right-hand side of the map there. You can see a representation of the ship there. Now, my shields need to recharge because I was fiddling around with them earlier on. My shield generator is now on. But what you'll see, your shields be represented by 3 blue lines around the ship. Mine's red at the moment because my shields are recharging. But those 3 blue lines represent your shields, and then the 100% underneath that represents your hull. When you're in combat, your shields will be depleted first, and then your hull will be depleted once your shields are down. If your hull gets down to 0%, you die. So your shields will recharge after a while, which means the shields then have to be taken down to hit the hull. So you're swapping between weapons that do damage to shields and damage to hull as and when in a fighting situation or fight situation. To the right hand side of that, you've got SYS, ENG and WEP with RST underneath. This is your systems, SYS, engines, ENG, weapons, WEP. And what you can do is you can put different amounts of power into them. So I've put, excellent, that's recharged my shields. Now you can see that I've got 2 blue rings around my ship. Those are my shields. That final blue ring will recharge shortly. I put more power into my systems, therefore my shields and my systems will regenerate faster. If I put points into engineering, I do this with the D-pad, by the way. So right on the D-pad fills up systems, up on the D-pad fills up engineering, and right on the D-pad fills up weapons. So left for systems, up for engineering, right for weapons, down to reset. So you can, if you're wanting to travel somewhere fast, you put priority into your engines. If you're in combat, you fill up your engines, shove a couple more into systems. That means your weapons are strong, your shields regenerate more quickly, and you don't need to fly around quite so quickly anyway. If you're escaping from combat because you're about to get your face owned, then you put a load of stuff into your engines to make them nice and quick, and a couple into your systems. And that means your shields are stronger and regenerate quicker, and your engines are making you go faster so you can escape. Okay, nearly done. Next to all of that are your fuel gauges. I'm not going to look about mass locked landing air and cargo scoop at the moment. They're not important right now, and they are at least explained in the tutorials. There are 2 fuel bars there. The thin one is the fuel that is looking after your ship's systems, and the big one underneath is your hyperspace fuel. So if you're in a system like we are at the moment and you're traveling between different planets, the thin line is used up. If you are jumping from one galaxy to another galaxy, the thick one is used up. If the thin one is depleted entirely, it'll take a chunk out of your hyperspace fuel to refuel itself. If you have nothing in your hyperspace fuel and it can't refuel itself, unfortunately, that means that your ship is dead in the water and you have to put a distress signal out and someone will come and help you. If you are doing that in the game itself, when you're because there are 2 ways you can play the game: solo, which is against non-player characters, NPCs, and open, which means you're in an open world and other players around. If you're in an open game, it might be players that come and rescue you and help you out. If you're in a solo game, you'll have a ship sent out from one of the space stations to refuel you. That might take some time. So it's always a good idea to keep an eye on that, particularly to make sure you've got enough hyperspace fuel to top up your in-system fuel if you need it. And very quickly, I'm going to show you, if you press bottom right on the touchpad, it brings up this one. Your status is your status, funnily enough. I'm harmless in combat. I haven't bothered with combat particularly at the moment. I've taken down 4 or 5 ships. But you have different systems, so harmless, mostly harmless, I think it's novice, competent, etc., up to elite, which is the highest level you can get. I've done a lot of trading, so I'm 2nd rank in trading. I'm mostly penniless. You start off as penniless. Explorer rank, that's great. You can jet into systems, unexplored systems, scan them, and then sell all that detail, that information at space stations, which is a good way of making money very quickly. I've only just realised this. So I'm aimless, which is where I start, and I'm 89%. So hopefully the next time I sell some information at a space station, I can get myself up to the next rank. And then QCQ rank, I haven't done any of the player versus player, but there's arena-based battles that you can involve yourself in, and you rank up through those as well. 276,000 credits, that's how much money I've got in the bank right now. Rebuy cost, very important. Rebuy cost is how much it will cost you to buy your ship back should it get blown up. So you always need to make sure that you've got enough money in the pot to buy your ship back. So if I got blown up and I had 1,000 credits in the bank, I wouldn't be able to get this ship back with all its lovely upgrades. I would get some rubbishy little Sidewinder with the basic stuff on it. So you've got to be very, very careful that you're aware of the rebuy cost of your ship and that you've got at least that amount of money in the bank before you go out into a place where you might get blown up. Local bounty is, have you done anything naughty? If you have, there's a bounty on your head and people will come and blow you up to collect it. And my local reputation, neutral, they're all right with me. There's Federation, Empire and Alliance reputations. those are the different factions that are fighting for prominence in the game, and you can ally yourself with one of them or just not ally yourself with any and play them off against each other. That's entirely up to you. Modules are all the different systems in ship, and sometimes in situations you might want to switch them on and off to increase power. Currently my usage, if you look at the bottom there, bottom left, usage is 77%. If I switch off, for instance, my basic discovery scanner, so I click on it, I can't switch that one off, won't let me, in which case let us turn off my multi-cannon. If I turn off the multi-cannon, here we go, now my usage is 72%. I've taken some of the power away, so it uses 5% of the power. By switching it on and off, I can actually reduce the amount of power that's being used. Because if that gets to 100% or over 100% usage, your whole ship shuts down and you can't do anything. So it's a good idea to keep an eye on your power usage and switch things on and off that you don't need. Fire groups, this is to do with your weapons and what button they're on. I mean, very basically, if they're on 1, that means on the primary button, which by default I think is R2. So those two weapons, when they're deployed, will fire by pressing down R2. That one will be fired by pressing down R1, which are the defaults. These two are used for taking down shields mainly. This one's used for killing the hull. So if I'm trying to deplete shields, I will be pressing R2 with these to deplete the shields, and then I will switch once the shields are down to L2 to activate my multi-cannon to completely rip out their hull. When their shields come back up again, I switch back to R2. When their shields are down, L2. So, you know, we're using different weapons for different functions. Inventory is what you're carrying at the moment. I've got 8 tons of liquid oxygen to sell at the moment. And functions are various things that you can switch on and off. So I haven't allied myself to a faction. My landing gear is retracted, etc., etc. And I've got, where is it? I think the beacon is what I set off. If I run out of all of my fuel, the beacon means people can find me. If you are a naughty person who doesn't want to be spotted, you can go silent running, which uses additional power. That means you don't appear on people's radars. So if you're trying to sneak up behind someone to kill them, or if you're trying to not be killed because you're carrying valuable equipment, you can have silent running engaged, which means you don't appear on people's radars. So that's just a quick look through the basics. The thing I found most critical, actually, that did not come up in any of the tutorials was the little compass. I mean, I'll just bring your attention back to it again. There are so many other things. I mean, the micromanagement in this game is immense, but it's that little compass that tells you where you should be. They don't mention that at all in any of the tutorials in the game. So you're aware of that now. That is so important. Oh, Colin Thimble. Here we go. Federation assault ship. Colin and Thimble. Competent, clean. So I'm not going to attack him, because if I attack him, I become a pirate. But it's that little thing. Tells me where people are. Tells me where I'm heading. Tells me where I need to look. So that is important to understand. But there we go. That is my introduction to the HUD in Elite Dangerous. I hope you found that useful. If you have, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And as always, have a fantastic gaming week.